Each morning, real setups are broken down with entry strategies and technical reasoning behind every trade. This is today's best trade setups with Verified Investing.
Hey, that's my charts. Give me 1 second. Welcome to today's best trade setups. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. This morning, I've been going over some charts. We've got Intel, we've got APP, Symbiotic, SMH, and then Tesla is in a nice upsloping parallel channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a couple different charts for you guys, show you some key technical levels. I'm going to zoom out on the SMH, show a parallel channel, and then I'm going to really zoom in to see where the potential for SMH could go and give you a couple different trade setups for today. So let's go ahead and just dive into the charts. The first chart I'm going to go over is Intel. For now, Intel has topped out at $43.94. The really thing I like about this is it filled this gap right here. This was a more of a minor gap because, or it's a small gap because it was a small pivot. However, after price action got rejected from this gap, price did end up soaring to the downside, which left a lot of people who were stuck in this trade. So it's no wonder that there's a lot of selling pressure in Intel right now. There were people who were out of the money and now looking to either take profit or cut their losses. If price action on Intel decides it wants to run down a little bit lower, you do have this little gap fill at $36.81. This for me is where I'm looking to pick up Intel if it can have another flush out today. On the chart of Intel, that would be another 10% move to the downside from its current pre-market levels. But still, if it can get down there, I'm loving the chart on Intel for a long intraday. All right, APP is another chart that I'm looking at. This is the intraday, the 1 minute time frame. So I'm going over the 1 minute time frame because you've got this beautiful downsloping trend line. Almost it's kind of a pseudo head and shoulders pattern with a downsloping trend line. If price action can break below this downsloping trend line, then you should see a lot more downside on APP. And I show you the intraday because I want to also show you the daily time frame. Look at how overly extended to the upside APP is. My shortable level was $684.48. It was about a 10% pullback from that level. I did not take that in the live day trading room due to the fact that it got $3 away from that level, not only once, but twice before getting that bigger rollover. It now is trading below that, indicating to me that there is more of a top in play than there is more potential upside. However, if price does decide it wants to head to the upside, my shortable level today is $745.61. If you are still in this trade based on this wide range red bar candle, price action is likely to come back in and hit this downsloping trend line. Usually on the underbelly of a downsloping trend line, third hits usually offer a lot of resistance. In this case, APP didn't. It just surged through that, which means to me that price action wants to get back to the scene of the crime, retest this before another push to the upside. Plus, it's coming up to the 786 Fibonacci retracement and a lot of different factors for me on this. Symbiotic fell over again yesterday. It got really close to my entry level. I ended up not taking that as well. However, if you go into the daily time frame on SYM, it is getting a little bit lower. A couple different things I wanted to show you. First off, my long level was $59.52 yesterday. It is now trading below that level. So that level is now off of the table. I'm no longer interested in this. My next long level was this set of pivot tops right here. All this price consolidation in this area, plus this gap fill at $55.46. From the closing price yesterday, that would be an 8% move to the downside. And from the all-time high, look at this, it would be a 36% move to the downside. Another thing that I'm really liking is this is an upsloping trend line that I had mentioned yesterday in the trading floor. In my show, this was kind of the midline of a couple different support areas. What I did today, this morning, is I actually took this trend line and I extended this to the downside and saw where price action ended up catching support several different times. So it could bust through this support level at $55.46. But as you can see, you've got this additional upsloping trend line that is acting as support. Not only you have 1, 2, third hit, fourth hit, it is a 50% chance on whether it breaks down to the ups or downside, or if it gets a bounce. But because you have all this price consolidation right in this area, I still like $55.46, knowing it could go down to 43, or excuse me, I said 54. So $55.46, knowing it could go down to $53. Any close below this upsloping trend line on a 15-minute closing basis, I would stop out of this trade. The SMH is something that we've been tracking for a while. I have this nice parallel channel that SMH finally recaptured. Still hasn't gotten to the midline of the parallel channel or a gap fill. However, price is kind of starting to stall out a little bit. And so what we can expect is a price to reject the price action right now, come back into the upsloping parallel channel, at least the lower end of it, and then catch a little support. So I got a couple different charts for you. The first chart of SMH is a zoomed in chart, but I'm going to actually show you the zoomed out chart first. Here is this parallel channel. This connects the pivot highs right here from April 2025, pivot lows from the 7th of April. This is where the start of this parallel channel started. As you can see on the underside of the upper end of the parallel channel, price action has gotten rejected many, many times. And then as you can see, the support on the underbelly of this, or excuse me, of the lower end of the parallel channel has caught support. Now we did end up closing below, confirmed below it, and now we've recaptured it, indicating that price action wants to head higher. Now let's go ahead and zoom in on the SMH, showing you where the next level is. This $366.10 is still a gap fill. It is a small gap fill now that price is consolidated right inside of this parallel channel or back inside of it. So this is more of an aggressive level at $366.10, knowing that you could head all the way up to this upsloping trend line and can get all the way up to about $380 or $379.72. That is just underneath the midline of this parallel channel. However, a buy level, if you're long or if you want to go long, would have been right here and could still be here right around $360. Any close below on this upsloping parallel channel, again, on a daily closing basis, that would be your stop out. But you could ride this wave all the way up a little bit higher before the SMH makes all-time highs again. All right, Tesla. Tesla has been a stock that I've been following for a while. Similar price action as far as how price is respected not only the midline of the parallel channel, however, it's also respected the upper and lower boundaries pretty solidly. Tesla can get a little bit more momentum in this, so you can get an extended move to the inside, or excuse me, the outside on the upper end and the lower end, as you can see in the charts right here. Here's where the parallel channel started from the 10th of February 2025. This is where I've drawn my parallel channel. The lower end of the charts have extended to the downside several times, never confirmed below, and then price action got above. And then look at how well respected this parallel channel has been. The midline, every time it gets to the midline, it gets rejected at least once and then gets above it and then gets below it again. This could indicate that the buying pressure is so great that it pushes above, but then eventually gets rejected and comes back down to the the lower end of this parallel channel. So for me, my first shortable level for a swing trade basis is right here around $455. However, today on a day trading basis, $475 is my max upside, knowing that every once in a while you can get an extended move outside of the midline. And then that would be kind of the upper end. We'd be taking out this red bar candle, this pivot high, and then you've got this downsloping trend line that connects the all-time highs at $488.33 from this pivot high from the November highs. So this would be the third hit. So I do anticipate maybe a little bit of a pierce, but 475 would be, again, my max upside for this chart. Could end up heading all the way up, though. And this is the caveat, or this is the thing that we've got to, as traders, we got to know this is just a probability game. So if the probabilities do not play out and it does not get rejected at this 475 level, it could go up to the upper end of this parallel channel, which is right around $520.31. All right, I have a couple other stocks I'm going to go over. Serve Robotics, and then I'm going to go into TTD. I did post TTD on my personal YouTube channel, indicating that I am not a buyer in this stock. This thing has put in nice bearish consolidation. However, it has broken a downsloping trend line. So there's a couple different mixed factors in this is why I would stay away from this particular trade setup. So Serve Robotic is one that I'm monitoring today. $13.85 would be the shortable level today. I didn't end up taking it at this gap fill yesterday. And then let's go ahead and just dive into the TTD chart and show you what I'm noticing. So first off, I'm connecting this pivot high from the 7th of August, secondary pivot high, 24th of October. Look at the price rejection on this downsloping trend line. Every time it gets rejected, it comes back in and gets some support, but then gets rejected again. Now price is technically broken out, hasn't confirmed, but look at this bearish consolidation. What I'm looking at for bearish consolidation is this big sharp move down and then price action staying around the basically the lower end of this breakdown, and that is bearish. That's, to me, is indicating that price action would likely want to go lower. So it's conflicting, right? So you've got this downsloping trend line that, although has broken out of, it not only hasn't retraced the scene of the crime, it hasn't confirmed above it. So for me, this is a no touch. I would like it to go down to $32.38 before I'm interested, or I would like a push above $42.96 or consolidate right there, right above it, indicating that the pivot lows want to be recaptured and the buyers can then start stepping back up for this chart. So thank you guys so much for joining me live 8:45 this morning. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Oh yeah, you guys want to stay tuned. Gareth Holloway is going to be going live in my trading game plan in less than 4 minutes. You guys don't want to miss that. Please make sure you're liking, following, subscribing, sharing with your friends so that way they can get this information as well going forward. You guys have a great rest of your day and take care.